What's up, America? I'm standing here in back of a Clayton County probation office because I have an interesting story to tell about the actual decay and decline of our legal system. Now, before I show you and get to my main story, I got to tell you what happened and how it came to be. Bottom line, I have a friend that's a brother to me. We do music together, and a couple of years ago we started a project. He went home to gather some of his things to return to work diligently on the project, and he took his girlfriend with him at the time, went to South Carolina, encountered an ex-girlfriend who was jealous of his new girlfriend. He was sharing a residence with these people. He was not at the time involved with the young lady. It had been some years past or when they were younger. And let me just get to it. Bottom line, out of jealousy, when he came back, jealous of his new girlfriend, his new life, she told a story 2 months later to the police department stating that she was intoxicated, somehow ended up in the bedroom with him, and that some type of sexual act had occurred. Okay? Now, you be the judge yourself. Me personally, I know that it's utter, total bullshit. So let me tell you what happened. A couple of years later, they come to Georgia, about a year later. They kick in his door. They arrest him. They take him back to South Carolina. They hold him in jail for 2 years. 2 years, okay? Hanging over a 10-year sentence over his head, threatening to give him that sentence if he didn't take a plea. See, the legal community these days, it just ain't shit. You understand? He ended up with a process lawyer that forced him into a plea to get out. Now, if somebody puts you in prison or in jail for 2 years, and you're looking at 10 more years and you haven't committed a crime, you might say anything to get out. Well, with the promise of 2 years probation, he took the plea, he got out. Needless to say, he was put on a sex offenders list. That's right, SO, sex offender, that's what they labeled him as, okay? He came back, tried to build his life, get everything straight. What happened? They forced him out of every place that he lived, using lies and saying that he couldn't be around this, be around that. Long story short, grandfather law enacted. It did not apply to his situation whatsoever. So they rearrested him for violation, stating that he failed to report an address after they ran him out of his address, arrested him several times, okay? They held him in jail for another year. Now, he hadn't committed any new crimes or any crimes at all, for that matter. Sorry for the noisy interruption, but these are the conditions that he's forced to live in. So, when he went to court for that, they sentenced him to 8 more years. Okay, still in compliance, doing everything he can after that year, totally mentally beat down and whatnot. He's still unable to obtain a residence, not for lack of help or lack of able to work a job. He's very skilled. And the reason why I'm telling you this story is because this could easily happen to any one of you. Okay? So he was forced to register with the Clayton County, Georgia Sheriff's Department as homeless. Okay? Now, me, I'm his brother, friend, homie. If I'm not homeless, he's not going to be homeless. We have a large extended family. Not to be homeless. These people actually will not allow him to live in a residence. And we have several all over the state. Okay? So what happens today? We go down here, he has to register. The sheriff's office, let me just say this. Actually, they were very nice. They offered him to go get a room or a lodge and then come back and, you know, give him that address. Everything will be fine. And excuse if I'm not being coherent here. I'm very upset. Well, probation office of Clayton County says, no, you can't stay there. We want you, a human being, And we know that you really didn't commit any of these crimes, but you need to stay in back of our office in the shed. It sounded crazy because, I mean, you don't put dogs in places that don't have proper shelter, lighting, or water, or food. We got the SPCA, all kinds of human rights organizations, you know, fighting for animals. What about the human animal? What about the human being? See, systematically, our system is set up to force people into a life of crime or to commit a crime, to further their own wealth, their own pockets. But before we get to the rest of that, let me just show you where they're forcing him to stay. And we can just pan here to the right. This is it. And I'm going to step in here so you can see the actual size of the shed. Now, I have a 6-foot arm tray. Nowhere near 6 foot, no way. Okay? Welcome to his humble abode. We have a 50 cardboard. I guess from where the last tenant, you know, missed the bucket, you know. But he's ordered to actually stay here. This is where he has to live. In this shed, it's not only a health hazard, it's rust, the outside elements, weeds, poison ivy growing inside. There's a large amount of electrical outlets here as well. Live electrical outlets. As you can see, not safe or fit for any human being whatsoever. Wild woods, snakes, pigs. This is considered extreme cruelty. Live ant beds. I'm being eaten up as we speak. I've never in my life heard of anything like this. Well, I'll say when there were slaves, yeah, you know. But this is living proof that this system is set up to enslave black people, African American citizens, still today. It's an atrocity. It's an atrocity, and it can happen to any one of you. So I just want to say to all you hoochie-fied, lying fucking females out there that don't know any other way but to abuse the system, to get retribution to a person just because they don't want your trifling ass, all right? God's got something in store for you. And I say this to the Clayton County Probation Office. In your ignorance, you have committed a serious human rights violation. You have no right to do this. However, he's going to comply, okay? He can't get on here because you'll retaliate. You'll probably put him in jail for another 2-3 years, having committed no crime, you know? And this is very real. This is not a hoax video. This is 100% real. 100%. Just take a look at it. This is actually happening today, 2012. In Clayton County, Georgia. So I invoke all your comments. Want to hear your point of view. Think this is right. Okay? Let me know what you think. I know some of you are going to respond and say, oh, well, you know, such and such and such. But keep in mind, there has been no actual offense. That's like some of you at home with your trifling-ass girlfriend. She don't like what you're doing, and, you know, she might call the police and say, you had an argument and you called her a bitch. The system is set up to divide families and keep people down. We got to do something about this, man. We got to do something about it. Peace out.